Good evening, book lovers of the internet. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am Book Nerd 802, and earlier today I found some time to read a few pages from Like a Splinter in Your Mind by Matt Lawrence, and this is perhaps one of the most influential non-fiction books which I've ever read in my life pertaining to a movie franchise, in this case, the Matrix trilogy, which also has more movies than just three, but the original trilogy is what I have respect for. And I came across this start to a chapter which was fascinating to me, chapter 5 on page 56, and this is called The Problem is Choice. I will be reading the passage to you and sharing some of my thoughts as well, especially since I am going through teaching practice right now, so take that into consideration when you're listening to me read, and I suppose there is a reason as to why this resonated with me. So, chapter 5, The Problem is Choice: Control, Free Will, and Causal Determinism. As you adequately put it, the problem is choice. The Architect. The Matrix trilogy explores several different perspectives regarding the nature of human choice. Morpheus repeatedly invokes the idea of fate, that certain events are inescapable and in some sense meant to occur. Neo prefers the idea of free will. He says that he does not believe in fate because he doesn't like the idea that he is not in control of his life. And in Reloaded, the Merovingian suggests that everything is causally determined according to the laws of nature. Action, reaction, cause and effect is his repeating mantra, and his explanation for every event in the universe. This leads us to wonder about which, if any, of these positions is ultimately correct. Did Neo become the One because it was his fate, or because he chose it, or both? Or was it simply the necessary effect of a long chain of antecedent causes? The films leave it an open question. We can find a strong case made for each of these views, but the final verdict is left to us. In this chapter, we'll consider the problem of choice as it relates to issues of external control, causal determinism, and alternate possibilities. Then, in chapter 6, we'll examine Morpheus's fatalistic perspective and the ramifications that the oracle's unerring predictions have on free choice. So, this is extremely interesting philosophically because it begs the question of whether anyone is truly in charge of their own life and whether the things we do because we want to do or because something caused us to arrive to this destination. And ultimately, what we have to determine is what our first decision was and what first action led to this consequence and to this whole chain of events, and to what extent we are impacted by history and antecedent causes and genetics and parents, grandparents, thought processes, the people we surround ourselves with. There are so many things that determine the choices we make. So, truly, even when we do make a choice out of what seems to be our free will, um, is that truly a free choice? Do we make that choice um, because we can or because we are conditioned to make a certain choice? And to what extent can that be taken? So, how far back does it go? The first action, I suppose. Then there is external control. Just what is control, says Counselor Haman, and one way to deprive a person of free will is to use an external means of control. The whole matrix scenario of manipulating a person's brain would be one such method. Given the frustration that Neo brings to the architect of the matrix, since he can't seem to kill Neo or get him to choose the appropriate mainframe door, we might expect that the architect would have had more success by simply programming Neo's decisions for him while his brain was plugged into the system. That also resonated with me because at the end of the day, to what extent is reality reality? To what extent can we trust our own senses? To to what extent do we know what is true and what isn't, and how could we possibly classify reality if everybody's perception of something is a tad different and no one perspective is the same as another person's, no matter how slight the difference may be? And if you do not know that there is somebody controlling you, somebody in charge of you, think that the choices you make are your own, then you will prove to show no opposition whatsoever. There will be no conflict, no rebellion from your end. And this is a theme which often crops up in dystopian stories, especially that people who do not know that they are being controlled or they are completely powerless. Um, I mean, they are two ends, basically, two extremes, which all have to do with how freely we make our decisions and how much control we have or of our own lives at the end of the day. And yeah, that got me thinking a lot. It really got my cranial gears grinding, I guess. And let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Let me know whether you think you can distinguish between what is right and what is wrong, whether you are conditioned into thinking that right is right for the sake of it, or whether you can think on an individual level before you make a decision. And the decisions you make, also let me know why you think you make them, what influences you, or whether you completely overthink something before you do something, and to what extent you let other people influence you, whether you are a free spirit or whether you are controlled by what is referred to as the matrix, I guess, um, forming part of the um, University of Malta, I can safely say that I am totally controlled by their policies, but I am aware of the control, and to a certain degree, I am in charge of my own actions and decisions, even though I do know what the outcome has to be once all is said and done, and I know what is expected of me because I signed up um, so that others would be in control of me in a way. And yeah, for the rest of my life, I think the decisions I make are not necessarily my own because some things I cannot do whether I like it or not, perhaps because I am not financially stable enough, or perhaps I live in a country where opportunities are not available to me as they would be in a different country, or perhaps I do not have opportunities to be where more opportunities are available. So, yeah, there is a lot of thought provoking, heavy stuff to think about, and I was just wondering what you think about all of this. And this is a topic which I often think about, but reading it in the Matrix book, it just got me thinking about it all over again, and it was lovely just to give myself something to think about whilst writing so many mind-numbing lesson plans. And yeah, I mean, 700 words each. I think I wrote about 10 of them today, but anyway, that is all I had to say in that regard. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. Take a look at the rest of my content because why not? It's absolutely amazing, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have an amazing March once again, and bye, guys.